Right, welcome back to another BucketHatSam video where today we are going to be brutally ranking Arsenal's top 20 most expensive signings of all time. But before we get into this, please do smash the like button and please do subscribe. I'm going to try to get to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's ambitious, but we can only do it with your help. Now, this is going to get very juicy. I'm really excited to do it. And I'll talk you through the tiers. We've got unreal, good, okay, poor, and geared out. And that is how we're going to be doing it. I'm going to start off in 20th place. We have got David Raya. Now, David Raya was signed for 31.9 million euros. Now, I think he's been a very, very good signing. Now, when this signing was first made, a lot of people were a bit like, I'm not sure people really like Darren Ramsdale. And to be honest, I did as well. But I think we've really seen now the massive improvement. He's taken them up that next level to that next kind of step. And I know people will say, well, what has he won? Well, that's out of the question. You've seen the improvement. I think he's been a very good signing. And really, actually, for the amount of money they've spent, I think it's been incredible, realistically, when you compare him to other goalkeepers and fees that have been paid for other goalkeepers in the Premier League. I don't think that's a bad signing. So we're going to whack him into straight into good. I don't think he's unreal because I don't know how I feel putting a goalkeeper in unreal. But for now, he's in good, a very solid transfer. Next, we've got Mikel Moreno. Now, this one's a very interesting one. 32 million euros. He hasn't even had a full season yet, so it's a really difficult one. I'm going to whack him into okay for now. Don't get me wrong. I think he's been a bit part player. He hasn't really featured in his exact position throughout the season. He's been playing as a striker at times. But overall, an okay signing. Like I probably can't put him any higher or any lower now because it's probably too early to call. So we'll leave him there for now. A player that I really like though, and I feel like he's a bit of a destroyer. I kind of like that. And I thought he kind of in the game. This is being recorded the day after the Arsenal PSG game, and I think he struggled in the first 20 or so minutes because he needs a player like Thomas Partey next to him. But I still think he had an okay game. But overall, we're going to leave him in okay for now. Next, we have got in 18th spot. We have got Mkhitaryan. Yes, I know it's part of a swap deal, but he was valued at 34 million and is considered as two separate signings when him and Alexis Sanchez went separate ways. They both paid fees. I don't know if that was for FFP rulings or not, but it was for 34 million euros. He made 59 appearances, scoring 9 goals and getting 13 assists, which actually isn't as bad a return as I expected. 22 in 60 isn't horrific, really, but I'm going to put him in poor. I think overall as a signing, it didn't really work out. And he was in that really awkward era at Arsenal where kind of things didn't really work out. It wasn't the best timing. He's a player that I really like and has gone on to do great things in his career after leaving Arsenal and before joining Manchester United. But in this kind of period, he didn't really deliver at the levels that we expected. So I think we're going to whack him into poor for this. A player that just really frustrated me because, again, somebody that I've seen elsewhere do incredibly. But yeah, for Arsenal, not great. We're going to whack him in poor, especially when you consider how much money was spent. Next, we have got Vieira. Now, this is a very weird one. I'm going to put him in get out straight away. The fact that they spent 35 million euros, they were expecting this guy to be competing with Odegaard and kind of playing in that attacking role, kind of number 10. But he just never really seemed like he was built for the Premier League. When he first came, he seemed quite weak and he looked like he wasn't ready for the physicality of the league. And it's been seen. He got loaned out this season by Arsenal. It's been a pretty poor transfer, realistically, especially when you consider how much money was spent on him as a player. Probably one of the worst signings in this list, in my opinion. It's a shame because, again, somebody who you can tell technically is a very gifted footballer, he just wasn't cut out for Arsenal. A very odd transfer, so we're going to whack him in to get out. Next, we have got Zinchenko for the same amount of money, another player for 35 million euros. Now, I'm going to whack this guy into the top of poor for now. I don't think he's okay because realistically, they spent 35 million euros on this guy and he's couldn't keep his own position in this team. He was signed to kind of be a leader, to kind of help them win the Premier League. That was what he was considered. A player who was at Manchester City. They signed him, and this guy was going to help catapult them to get to the Premier League title. But he couldn't even keep his own position. That's the thing for me. I know ideally he's not actually a left back, but that's where he featured. He wasn't good enough playing centre mid for Arsenal. He hasn't been good enough playing left back for Arsenal, and they've had to replace him. So I don't think that can be considered a good signing. Yes, he's probably good to have in and around the squad, and he probably is a bit of a leader. But as a signing itself, looking at him, you can't be spending 35 million on a player to be a squad player. So I'm whacking him in poor. Next, we have got Martin Odegaard, another player for 35 million euros. Now, this one is an interesting one. I'm going to whack him into good, at the top of good. Now, some people may disagree with me on this one because they're thinking of recency bias and the fact that he doesn't turn up in quite a lot of big games and things. I know that's kind of a narrative, and that is probably true, especially recently in that PSG game. He was non-existent. But overall, as a sign, if you step back, remove recency bias, he's been incredible for Arsenal. The club captain, he's done incredible things for them. I wouldn't put him in unreal because I don't think he's in the top tier of of Arsenal signings, but as a player, I still think he's a very good player and a very good signing for Arsenal. I don't think anyone really expected him to go on to become the captain. Like, I never saw that with Martin Odegaard. I never saw him as a leader, and that's really surprised me, but I think he's been an incredible servant to the club. And yes, a lot of people question marks on him now, but I think that's just recently. But overall, he's been an incredible player and club captain. Next, we have got Timber for 40 million euros. Now, this one is another one where it's a little bit difficult. Like, I think he's going to be a great player. I'm going to whack him in okay for now because, again, it feels like it's too soon to give a real opinion on him. I really like him as a player, and I think against PSG he had a very good game. I think he's had a very good season, arguably one of the best fullbacks in the league. Yes, I know he had a lot of injury problems last season, so it feels like it's a real difficult one to call. Is it too early to kind of say he's been poor? Is it too early to say he's been really good? So I'm going to whack him in into okay because, again, similar with that, there'll be a few of these players where I feel like it's too soon to decide just how good they are, but he's in the top of okay, most likely right at the bottom of good, potentially, depending on how many players get into this level. But I really like him as a player, and I think he's been a very good signing, but again, just a little bit too early to call. Next, we have got Mustafi for 41 million euros. This is mental. I'm going to whack him into get out. This blows my mind. I forgot about this era of Arsenal. This is the kind of banter era, when I put it in quotations, when everyone was laughing at Arsenal every single week. Mustafi making mistakes. I can't believe how much they paid for him, realistically. I get it, because at the time he was considered a great player when he was at Valencia. You hear Gary Neville talk about him all the time. But again, another player who just wasn't cut out for the Premier League. Physicality, pace, I don't know what it was. He just really, really struggled, and I can remember so many mistakes. Like, you look back and you just think, what were they thinking? A really, really poor signing. But I wanted him to do well. I kind of felt bad for him, if that makes sense. I wanted him to succeed, but it just never really worked out for him there. But I'm whacking him in to straight into get out. I just don't think he was good enough for Arsenal. So there you go. Next, we have got Alexis Sanchez for 42.5 million, the 12th most expensive signing. This guy played 166 times in all competitions, scoring 80 goals, getting 40 assists. Yes, you heard me right. 120 goal contributions in 166 games. Mental. This guy arguably is one of Arsenal's greatest players in the Premier League. I think he's got to be in the discussion. He's up there. His prime was out of this world. I was obsessed with watching this guy. What this guy did, because obviously everyone knew how good he was when he came from Barcelona, but I don't think we all expected him to be as good as he was. He was an absolute joke for quite a few seasons, and it was a shame it didn't work out at Manchester United, because I think that's tarnished his career and kind of his legacy. Everyone remembers that. People remember him for playing the piano and things. I know he's currently back at Udinese, but I look at him and just think unreal for Arsenal. That signing was incredible. It was just out of this world. Those few years, he was one of the best, arguably the best in the Premier League for consistently for years. What he used to do, so many games where he just took it by the scruff of his neck and just dragged Arsenal through. He was incredible. I miss that era of football under Alexis Sanchez. But next, we have got Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka, 11th most expensive signing, 45 million euros. We're going to whack him into good. Now, I think he came around good towards the end. I think he was a very good player overall, kind of on reflection, the whole time, the whole era he had at Arsenal. Yes, there was a bit of time where he fell out with the fans. We all remember kind of the way that he stropped off the pitch, swearing at the fans and things. But overall, I think he had a good time at Arsenal. I think he was a very good servant for Arsenal. And that final season, he was incredible. And you could kind of see why he got moved on, because the team was transitioning to a different side. But he was massive. And what I love about the fact is how you can kind of decide how good a player is and how good a signing is. All the different transitions when they changed. Granit Xhaka was always there, consistently week in, week out. The amount of times he played for that club was ridiculous. I really like him as a player, and I definitely think he should be in good, because he has been. And I know a lot of people might think that's me being a bit over the top, but I think he was a great player for Arsenal. By the way, if you haven't already, please do smash the like button and please do subscribe. I'm a West Bromwich Albion fan, so this is completely unbiased if you wanted to know that, because some people ask me who do I support. Next, in the top 10 now. Let's get interesting. 45 million euros on Ricardo Calafiori. Another one. Whack him into okay. Yes, he's had a few injury problems, so it's a bit too soon. Okay is just being used now as the players I can't really decide. Okay, Fiore, when he does play, looks incredible. I really like him. But again, injury problems. So we're going to whack him into okay. But these two have featured more so than he has. So we're going to whack him into the bottom of the three. But yeah, I really like him, and I think he will be good and potentially unreal in the future. But he's just, again, just needs to stay fit. He can never seem to be fit. A lot of injury problems, which is such a shame. Next, ninth, for 47 million euros, we have got Mesut Ozil. He played 254 games, getting 41 goals and 77 assists. Now, I'm going to say it straight away. Unreal. And I don't care what people say. This guy, again, was an absolute joke in the Premier League for so long for Arsenal. He was massive for them. Everything good about Arsenal for quite a while was because of him. Him and Alexis Sanchez were great in that era. And what I think about is, again, we'll talk about the same with Aubameyang, that some of these players, their ending and towards the end of their career tarnished them. So that's why people look at them differently. I don't think it's anything on Mesut Ozil. I just think the whole contract situation, the way he left and things kind of tarnished the legacy. But he was incredible. He was unreal for Arsenal, unplayable at times. There are so many goals and so many moments you can think of with this guy. It was absolutely mental. So he deserves to be in Unreal. And I feel like that is no debate. I think, especially when you compare him to the players in good here, I'd whack him into Unreal. And as you can see, some of these signings have been quite decent. Some of them have been very stinky. But when you compare it to other clubs' top 20, I don't think Arsenal's is as bad as some others. Like some of the transfer business has been pretty decent. Next, we have got in eighth spot for 50 million euros from Atleti. We've got Thomas Partey. Now, Thomas Partey was one I was really intrigued as to how this signing would work out. A player I watched in the Champions League and watched highlights when he was at Atleti. And I really liked the way he used to break at play, move the ball on. He was somebody I was really excited to see in the Premier League. And I think he's been a very good signing. I think overall, yes, I know he's had some injury problems, but as a player itself, kind of on reflection, I think he's been very decent. And you see when he's not in the squad. So I think he's better than okay. I think he's been good. I think he's been a very solid signing. For 50 million euros, I think he's a very decent player. And you just look at him and you think again, it's similar to the Xhaka thing that consistently playing whenever they're fit, he's always in the 11. And yes, when there's injury problems, you see the difference when he's not in the squad. So I think that's kind of the telling tale of how decent a player is. So I'm going to whack him into good. I think he's been a very solid signing. Next, in seventh, we have got Gabriel Jesus for 52.2 million euros. Now, this is an interesting one. I'm going to go into the top of okay. Now, I think with this one, I think the telling tale and the telling sign with Gabriel Jesus, and when you rank and when you rate him and things, Arsenal have been trying to sign a striker to replace him for so long. They've got wingers. This guy, I don't know where he plays. He's a really interesting one. I like him as a player. I always want him to succeed. He does things that other players can't do. But as a number 9, I don't think he's good enough. And for what Arsenal needed when they spent that money on him, I don't think they got exactly what they wanted. I think they were expecting a little bit more. And I think Arsenal fans will agree with me on that. The fact that he's a squad player, you can't be spending 52.5 million on a squad player. And we're going to get on some other strikers in a bit where you compare him and you just think not on their level. But I think overall, I think a decent player, but just for the amount they spent and for what they expected getting a champion in, a Centurion, you'd expect more because he was the main. Well, he was playing a lot in that Centurion season, and you think he got that goal against Southampton as well. And you think of moments, but you don't think of his moments at Arsenal. So I'm going to whack him in okay. I don't think it's been poor. I don't think it's been awful, but I don't think it's been great. I think it's just been meh. Squad player, not good enough really. You want more from him. In sixth, we have got Lacazette. Now, this is a player I watched a lot at Lyon before he joined Arsenal, and still watch a lot of him now at Lyon, a club that I went. I've got a bit of an affiliation to. I went when I was younger, and I always keep up to date and things. He was incredible when I watched him at Lyon when he was a youngster, and I remember being so excited to see him in the Premier League. And again, I think he had a decent career at Arsenal. 389 appearances, 199 goals, and 55 assists. Yes, just over 250 goal contributions in 390 games is not a bad turnaround. Now, I think again, what we do with this and what happens a lot with football fans is we always remember the worst times. We remember, same with Alexis Sanchez, same with Ozil, same with these people. You remember the ending and you can't help it. Your brain takes you back to that. And the end of Lacazette, people were getting quite annoyed, but I still think he was a very good player for Arsenal. I'm going to whack him in good, and I'm having him probably, is he above that? No, I'm not going to put him above David Raya, but I'm going to have him above it Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey. I think as a striker, he did a very decent job. And especially when you compare him to somebody like Gabriel Jesus, there's differences there. He was great for quite a while. But again, just tarnished by that ending. He just kind of really tailed off as he got a little bit older. But it's great to see him absolutely smashing the goals now for the last couple of seasons for Lyon. He's been incredible for them for quite a while now. But I think a very good player for Arsenal. On reflection, I think he had a very good career there. Next, for 58.5 million euros, we have got Benjamin White. Yes, I remember to call him Benjamin because I know that's what he prefers. Straight into good. Uh, Probably above Lacazette or not. Let's just whack him in and around Lacazette. I can't really decide who I'd have above or below, but I think he's again a very good signing. A lot of money was spent on him, but he's been incredible. Again, when he's not injured, he's starting, and he's starting in a side that have gone through the Champions League quite far, Premier League title races and things. That just shows you how good a signing he's been. And this is the difference. Some of these players further down the list have all been squad players, whereas Ben White came in as a centre back. converted as a right back and made that position his own, and he's been incredible now for a while. And we'll see him coming back into the squad now. He's fit again, and he'll probably be starting every week, week in, week out, because he's an incredible player and has been a very good player now for Arsenal. So we're going to whack him into good for definite. And if you look now, it's quite heavy on the good side. It's because Arsenal have made some pretty decent signings. Next, we have got Emerick Aubameyang, number 4, 63.75 million euros. He played 213 games, scoring 141 goals and getting 36 assists. I'm going to say it straight away, in unreal. And again, this is similar to the thing I said before. He got that contract, and people then remember that era towards the end and the way he was kind of pushed out the squad by Arteta and the fact that he was supposedly not great for the dressing room and things. But overall, as a signing, I think he was incredible. Top goal scorer in the Premier League for one of the seasons. He was incredible for them for quite a while. In the Europa League as well, he was massive for them. And I think he was an incredible player. And again, tarnished by the end of his career and things at Arsenal. And people will remember that. But as a whole, I think he was great. I think he's an unreal signing. One of their best signings. I think that top 3, I think that's pretty solid. I wouldn't change that as it stands. Next, we have got Kai Havertz for 75 million euros. Now, this is a very interesting one. Where do I sit with this one? For the money, I'm going to say, okay, I'm not having him in good because I don't think value for money wise has been great. But again, somebody who hasn't played in the position that we're expecting him to play, like he's not a number 9. And that's what I'm intrigued to see. When Arsenal get a number 9 in, will he play in that midfield? Will that be his own position? Probably not. So I don't know how I can whack him in good if I think he'll be a squad player once they get that striker in. He's been playing in positions that he shouldn't have been a bit frustrating, but then he's still been decent. But I won't have him in good. I'm not sure for the value for money, the amount of money they spent on him. I'm having him in the top of good, maybe at the bottom of okay. Sorry, top of okay, maybe at the bottom of good. I can't decide. I'm gonna leave him there now for now in okay because that good level's getting too many players. But when you compare him, was he better than? Is he a better signing than Partey? Probably not. Better than Xhaka? No. Ben White? No. Lacazette? See, I don't think he's on that level of those signings. Maybe in the future he might be, but not for now. Not for me. Next, we have got Nicolas Pepe, 80 million euros, 112 games, 27 goals, 21 assists. Now, realistically, I'm going to have to put him in poor. People may think it's a little bit harsh. I'm going to whack him in the top of poor. Just for the name and things, we all expected so much more from him when he first came to Arsenal. We were all really excited. We'd all seen the highlight reels of how much fun he'd been having in Liga 1. That left foot was an absolute wand. And in moments, he showed brilliance. He was incredible. Moments. But he wasn't really good enough. And when you think the fact they spent 80 million euros on him, you've got to say it's poor. It wasn't a good sign. It didn't work out well. Yes, people can look at the stats and say, actually, it wasn't too bad, but really for that kind of money and for the way it went and the way it worked, it didn't work out overall, did it? So we're going to have to whack him into poor. It's a shame because I was really excited to see him, a player again, that you see him scoring week in, week out, doing things like Dembele did in Liga and before he got his move to Borussia Dortmund. Like you looked at players like that and you've got excited to see, and you look at in comparison now where Pepe is and where he went with his career and look at Ousmane Dembele. That's the way I look at it. Those are the kind of players that I compare him to. A frustrating one. So we're going to whack him into poor. And then the final one for 116.6 million euros, we have got Declan Rice. Now, for me, top of unreal. Now, the reason why I have him below is because when I look at the money spent on these other players, value for money wise, I think they've got more out of them than Declan Rice did. Declan Rice probably isn't far off it. He just needs to win a trophy with Arsenal to compare with these because I think all 3 of these will have won a cup at least. So that's my comparison. But there you go. Declan Rice has been incredible recently. And I think once he wins a trophy with Arsenal, then I'll push him probably further up. And then we can kind of compare him to Aubameyang, Ozil, and Alexis Sanchez. But I look at it and think how much money was spent on him. Maybe too early, but he's still unreal. He's absolutely incredible. Definitely top 4. But there you go, guys. That is me brutally ranking every single one of Arsenal's top 20 most expensive signings of all time. Let me know in the comments, what do you make of my listing? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Let me know. And if you haven't already, please do smash the like button. Please do subscribe. And thank you guys for watching. There'll be lots more content coming your way. Don't you worry. But thank you again. BucketHatSam, over and out. Goodbye.